Hello and welcome to another episode of Industry Celebrities and collaboration with TAAEF, which is also known as Texas Apartment Association Education Foundation.
It's pretty long, isn't it?
I know it is, but since we're trying to educate the world, Izzy, we got to let them know what that acronym stands for. And this is the first of many, maybe this might be our second episode of the Room to Grow series. Did you know that, Izzy?
Why wasn't I first?
Well, because you didn't sign up to be first. Yeah.
Okay,
anyway.
that's fair.
Okay, yeah.
So I was busy.
I know. You're a busy man. So I do appreciate you.
I appreciate the cap, by the way.
We'll get to that here in two more seconds. We'll get to that in two more seconds. But I'm that Kimberly, also known as Kimberly Scott, and my guest today is Mr. Izzy Garza. Hi, Izzy.
How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you?
I'm actually having really fun right now.
Are you? Good.
Yeah. I mean, we are in a nice hotel. We got the stadium right there.
Beautiful sun.
I mean,
yes.
The sunlight.
And we're talking about this. This is an homage to you because you're from H-Town and
yes.
And
the greatest city in the world.
Okay,
the greatest sports team in the world. The greatest baseball team of all time.
Yes, I'm not a baseball advocate fan. I support my boyfriend's team, which are the Astros. So go Stros. Shout out to B. But there's a whole other conversation about why I'm not big into baseball, but I do love the World Series. So this is an homage just to you. I wore this hat just for you. How does that make you feel, Izzy?
You know how to cut to the chase. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
I like the cap though.
Okay.
I really do. If I'd have known that, if I'd have gotten the memo, I would have worn mine. Mine's in the car.
It's called spontaneous. There's
okay,
no
I'm
memo.
Not good at that.
Okay, well, yeah.
Okay,
so let's get down to the nitty gritty of why you're really here to answer some questions.
Okay.
Just, to educate through storytelling. That's what this is about.
I like that.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Sounds good.
You're okay with whatever I'm going to ask you?
Before we start, the nitty gritty part, you ever watch Nacho Libre?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, yeah.
It's been a long time, but yeah.
Okay, that part where Nacho goes, let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Oh, yeah.
So right now, that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, got it.
So let's go.
I don't have the Nacho Libre voice, but you're more than welcome to roll with that.
I don't think you'd want this interview in Nacho Libre. I don't want
to
embarrass
you're right.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Side and for another day. So tell the folks a little bit about who you are and, Izzy. And what industry you're in, too.
Well, I am from Houston, Texas.
Born and raised?
No, actually I was born on an American naval base. My dad served in the Navy.
Ah, okay.
He was stationed in the Philippines.
Okay.
Met my mother. Mm-hmm. And they fell in love. And here I am.
That's awesome.
I went to the States probably about 3 or 4 months after I was born.
Okay.
I lived in South Texas, the Brownsville area, first part of my life. Then moved up to the Houston area. Actually, the Rosenberg area, excuse me.
Yeah, you got to get specific.
Yeah. I lived there and went to Needville High.
Okay.
And then attended college a little bit, didn't finish it, but kind of fell in love with the multifamily industry. Kind of fell into it by accident.
So was it your very first job?
No,
it wasn't. But you just
my
fell
first job. I used to wash dishes, and you used to be a cook at this little restaurant called the J Cafe.
Oh, okay.
No, it was not the J Cafe. It was a J something. I forgot the name.
But it was restaurant related.
Yeah, man. If you wanted a burger, I can make it. I was
that's good to know.
Good at that, yeah.
Note to self.
Yeah, note to self.
So you came from the restaurant business, basically.
Well, my grandparents actually had a few restaurants, so I kind of fell into that.
How'd you get into multifamily?
How'd I get into multifamily?
Yeah.
Well, multifamily.
How'd you fall in? Tell the story.
Well, so I used to work at a company called ICI Paints.
Okay.
It was paints that sold to commercial, residential, multifamily. And I came into an opportunity to be a sales rep, and they gave me a territory which had a high amount of apartments in that area. I started calling a lot of those apartments, and that's where a lot of the lingo that I know today, that you know today.
All the acronyms.
Who's the management company? Who's it managed by? Who's the regional?
And all the acronyms with it.
All the acronyms. What's an ROI? What's this? What's that?
What's an NOI?
It's an NOI. Yeah, and I kind of fell into that. That's the way it kind of happened, and so I was a sales rep for about 9 years and called on so many management companies. I used to call as well a bunch of construction companies that serviced multifamily. So the CAMPs, the FSIs, the Gemstars of the world. Those guys. I was always after their exterior or interior renovation business.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I fell into it.
So you were there, and then where are you now?
So I'm working now. my career,
Yeah.
my love and my passion. I am privileged to work at Maintenance Supply Headquarters. I serve as their national account manager here in Houston.
Okay. Well, they're in Houston because we're not in Houston right now, but
Houston's in my heart.
yes,
wherever
always.
I go.
And
and you got the cap.
That's why
so
I got the
Houston
cap.
is here.
Yes,
but
sir.
All that being said, yes, I'm based in Houston. I usually typically cover the national account partners that we have in Houston that go beyond Houston. So I've been there now for 6 years. Amazing company. I get to see you quite often over there.
Yes,
so,
you do.
Believe me, it's like Christmas morning when I see you.
Whatever.
There's
Stop.
Kim,
I have a friend that goes, stop. Okay, yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess, but Leah would.
Yes.
Leah would do that. But yeah, I've had an amazing ride over there, and there are so many good people that I get the privilege to work with every day. So I'm just happy and so proud that I'm able to be a part, and they allow me to do stuff like this and be a part of this TAAEF, and I'm here. So.
Yeah. Well, talk a little bit about, because you say about being a part of something, but Texas Apartment Association, local associations, you start at a local level and it's all volunteerism. How did you get involved in your local association?
I don't know if you know a guy in Houston. His name is Cesar Lima. I think,
Hello, didn't he just
everybody
get some
knows.
big award?
Yeah,
Lifetime achievement or something? I should know that.
He got a nice award.
Yeah.
But there was a guy that I used to work with. His name was Alan Jones, and he was like this multifamily specialist for ICI Paints. And one day I went to lunch with him, and I was actually at a point where I didn't feel really challenged. I was kind of stagnant, and I loved calling on people, selling and all that. But I asked, if there was another different thing that I could do to kind of really motivate me. I was motivated. I was always self-motivated, but I wanted something more.
You want the next level. Text it to
Yeah,
the next
I want
level.
the next level, I guess you can say. Well, he comes up to me and he says, you remind me of a guy. I don't know if you know a guy by the name of Cesar Lima. I didn't know who the guy was at the time. And looking back at it now, I think that's probably one of the greatest compliments I ever have received. It's because I think he's just an amazing man. But he told me, he said, you remind me of him. And he says, I think you would really do good in the apartment association. And then he says, you should join HAA. And at the time, I'd said, what is that, huh? I'm like, what do you mean join, huh? Is that like a comedy special? Is that what
It's
is
better
that,
than AAA, which is Austin Apartment Association, and also Atlanta Apartment Associations.
So yeah, I asked him what it was, and he says, well, it's the Houston Apartment Association, and I think you would do really, really well over there. And I attended a meeting, and I guess that's history. Here I am now. I got the opportunity to meet so many good people.
I bring up the fact that somebody recommended you to volunteer, and then from there you got involved, and then you moved your way up by participating within your local, right?
One of the first things that I noticed about the association, which a lot of people notice, is that everybody tends to know each other, and everybody tends to want to be around each other.
Yeah,
and
one
work
big
together.
happy family.
It is a big family.
Yeah.
And what's so funny about that is that when I came into it, there were several people that befriended me and gave me an opportunity to kind of know what the association does and what it can present and what it can provide. And to this day, it's given me and my family so much. So. They are family, and that's the reason why even to this day, 12, 15 years later, you're looking at it saying, hey, I always want to pay it forward, because there's new people that are coming in. They're excited to serve, they're excited to get involved, they're excited to go out there and make a difference whenever they can. To me, that's the reward in itself, to see that. That also being said, it's always continuously happening. You see new people, and it's refreshing.
Yeah.
It's very refreshing to see.
You meet new people every year. Some you bring up Cesar Lima. I mean, Billy Griffin was one of the first people from the Houston Association. I know from
Who's Billy Griffin?
Okay, so Billy, he said it. I didn't.
I know this is going to go back to him.
Yeah,
so yeah,
I'm totally telling. But I remember the one person at every single local I ever got involved at that said, here, here's the way, or here's this, that, and the other, or this is good, this is even better, they need people over here, like connecting with those individuals.
I love
building those long-time
they're fun
friendships. Yeah,
I have, and I'm so honored to have some of these amazing lifelong relationships that I have. And so when it comes to these quarterly meetings at TAA, it's almost like a family reunion, I guess you could say. But instead of once a year, have it 4 times a year.
Yeah.
So they're amazing people, and I always try to find where I can to serve, even in my local association. It's home, it's family still.
Yeah.
And they've given me a lot. So
would that be the one thing that you say that you love the most about multifamily?
Oh, hands down.
Okay.
And I think it's kind of, a lot of people say that. And I actually thought about that at one time, Kim, like, okay, I don't want to say the people. But it's really hard for me to think of anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Absolutely,
saying? It's
yeah.
like, well, it's not the job. I mean, I love my job. You know, it's not, these hotels and the places we get to go hang out at. Well,
Yeah.
isn't the opportunity business? I mean, that happens. I can't think of anything but the people.
Yeah.
And the laughs and the memories and, the times that you've gotten a chance to kind of share in their joy and their, accomplishments. And I think it's kind of cool. It's funny. We have a lot of people that are competitors, and they have a lot of mutual respect for one another.
Yeah.
They're very nice to one another.
Yeah,
they care about each other as people first.
That was something that was very shocking
It's
to
unique.
me. Yeah,
You don't see that.
No, especially on both the supplier and the management side. Like, I remember one of the first times I ever had a conversation with, shout out Mr. Scott Wilder, about Clay Hicks, shout out Mr. Hicks. And they're both Gig 'em Aggies. And they had a conversation. They sat, and I had never seen that in that environment. And then seeing how he is with all his other, quote unquote competitors, if you will. And, we all come together when you're at your local or your state or your national, and you're giving back, you're doing the right thing for your industry and for the people that
You never know when you're going to collaborate with them in some way. I mean,
you have a deep respect for them.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it right now, I mean, obviously I love what I do, but you get a chance, an opportunity to meet people that you may get to work with in the future. I mean, for something like this especially, I mean, I never thought that, a couple weeks ago that I was going to get a phone call and say, would you like to be on a podcast?
I've been asking you.
But it's funny, we talk about competition and about having a mutual respect, and it's so evident here in this business.
So do you remember the very first, I know you said who the person was that asked you about getting involved, but what was the very first meeting that you attended at a local level and you, like, just share a short Izzy story.
Yeah, there was a place called City Streets, and I remember I got invited to an ambassador meeting, and there was all these people around the bar, and it was basically a networking event for vendors.
Supplier partners, I like to say.
Supplier partners,
Don't
you're
use
right,
that.
you're right.
I do not like that word. We
Supplier
are partners.
And they knew each other.
Yeah.
Everybody knew each other, and I kind of felt like a small fish in a big pond. And there were several people. There was two people that kind of took me under the wing and said, "You should meet some people." And and to this day we're amazing friends. And so they kind of helped me, encouraged me. And I think a lot of new people, when they come into the industry, they see this like, there's so many people that know each other, and I love to see somebody go out of their way to go and help somebody and say, "Hey, you need to come over here too, hang out with us."
Yeah.
And we want to get to know you.
I do that all the time because somebody did that for me.
Yeah, you have to. If you can do that, I think that's a great way of paying it forward.
Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely.
What would you tell somebody about a career in the industry and why they should take a look? I mean, you come from the restaurant industry, you have you're from a military family. Those are all things that industries that are very similar, in service and in hospitality, like customer service.
Yeah.
So, like, why would you tell somebody to check out?
Well, I would say that the industry itself is evolving. It's growing. The need for housing, especially apartments, is growing.
Yeah, it's
more and more every
non-recession.
year.
Yeah,
Somebody's going to need an
yeah,
apartment complex.
we lived through the recession, absolutely.
And there's always companies sprouting up. They're growing. People starting up the new companies. It's always cool to see that. It's a great industry to be in because, again, we talked about earlier about the people, but even more so, plentiful opportunities.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity for people to make a good career out of this and be successful. I think that I'm a living testimony, if you say. But yeah, I love seeing people, succeed. This industry offers that opportunity. There's a lot of people that as they, begin to go ahead and, ride into the sunset.
Retire?
I don't want to say that, There are people there that are there to just congratulate them and be with them. That's really cool, to see that. And in this industry, you kind of see that so much, so hopefully I get to that, so.
I'll be one of those. Stand there, Izzy. Okay, so I'm from the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
I've been in the apartment industry for 15 years. I'm also an apartment renter, so I'm a double agent, as someone just called me. But talk a little bit about, because you're also from the restaurant side of the world, how you said you fell into this from there. Talk a little bit about the differences in, Monday through Friday, we take holidays off, weekends are amazing. Like, from a sales side, like, what was your experience? I don't just want to be speaking from mine.
Well, the common word between hospitality in the restaurant business and the multifamily business is serve.
Yeah.
So that's always going to be a given. But You know, when you're working, you know, the restaurant business, and I did it for years, you know, with my family, you know, it's not fun being there at 8 o'clock and leaving at 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah. And every weekend and every holiday.
Yeah, and if somebody's, you know, they can't work, well, you got to fill in the shoes, you know, and you've got to take their responsibility. It happens. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it happens to some degree, you know, in leasing or in the apartment business to some extent. But, you know, I think about that, it's a lot of labor, and it's a lot of
like there's no calling in sick.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. You can't, you know, and believe me, every day, you know, when you're in the restaurant business, somebody's going to critique whether they liked it or they did not like, whether it's the service, the food, and you know, you get a couple of bad compliments, it can kind of, you know,
hurt your ego,
hurt your business. Yeah, it kind of can.
Well, I mean,
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, 365 days a year, and
people want to eat.
Yeah, people want to eat. People, my boyfriend always says, people take food very personally, and with that, multifamily, people take it personally. You know, we're helping others living in their homes, and we serve. But my point is that we take time off for our family. We are allowed to have a vacation. We get the weekends. We definitely get the holidays. Nobody does anything after Thanksgiving. When it comes to Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah. You know, I look at it a little bit more differently. Is that, you know, as vendors, supplier partners.
Thank you very much.
You see, I learned. Supplier partners or people on the management personnel.
Yeah.
On the personnel side, we're trying to give a resident an experience, and that's us working together. You know, not just, you know, the management company side or the supplier partner side. It's us collaborating together to ensure that the residents that live in those units are taken care of, and they have an experience of being satisfied, that they feel safe. And a lot of times, if we're not talking about that, you know, they'll go on to go somewhere else. You know, so, you know, for me, that's what I look forward to, and that's what I want to do when I work with the companies I'm privileged to work with, is to hopefully give them what they need so that they can make their tenants a place that they can call home.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so,
well, I appreciate that, being a double agent and renter.
Yeah, there you go, you know. But yeah, if there was one thing I could say that, you know, of attraction to work in the multifamily business, is that in this business, especially in this industry, there's always opportunity for growth. There's always opportunity for advancement.
There you go.
You know, so
absolutely,
cool.
100%. Okay, so last question: what is the best advice that you have ever been given?
Yeah, I do have one that I'm always reminded of, especially in, you know, my position. You get a lot of conflict at times, and sometimes, you know, we'll get the answers that you want. But I remember probably about 10 years ago, when I was in the paint industry, I had developed a really good relationship with one of the contractors, and you know, he bought a lot of paint for me, and a job went sideways where it didn't go the way that it was supposed to, and then it became, you know, finger pointing, like, well, you told me this and I told you that, and anyway, it became a very heated discussion, and the guy, the contractor at the time, basically questioned whether I was the right person for him to service his account. At the time, you know, I obviously was very upset about that, you know, especially when I knew that what I had said was right, and he just told me to leave the job, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. And so I called my boss, and I remember talking to him and saying, you know, I need to call this guy back and give him a piece of my mind, and tell him what I really think, because I just can't believe that he would assume and do that. And
hopefully your boss said, no, don't do that.
No, he gave me the best advice. He says, I want you to sleep on it.
Awesome.
I said, I want you to sleep on it. I promise tomorrow morning you will wake up and you'll have a different thought.
Yep.
You'll have a different idea how to fix it. You won't be emotionally
attached,
or you won't be emotionally driven to go say something that you're going to regret.
That you can't take back
Correct.
ever.
Yeah, you can't. Once it's said, it's said.
Yeah.
And so I took his advice. At the time, I didn't think it was the right approach, but, you know, when you're upset and you're mad, you want to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And he basically
especially
said,
when you know when you're right. And
yeah. And so the next morning, I called him, and instead of me saying, I'd like to follow up on our conversation, the first thing I said was, you know, I think things got out of hand, and I want to apologize to you yesterday.
That's awesome.
And I realized I understand your side, your point of view, so let's work together to go ahead and get it fixed, and we'll meet halfway. And he goes, yeah, I thought the same thing too. It wasn't a conversation that we typically have.
You were the bigger man in the situation, and it paid off.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that sometimes when you get hit with things, you kind of have to take a step back and just say,
take a breath.
Let me think about this real quick before I go ahead and react or say something that is eventually going to cause more issues in the future. And that was the greatest advice that I've ever received. Another one that my grandfather told me a long time ago is that whatever you do in life, always keep a good name. And at the time when I was a kid, you don't know what that means. And now you do. You know, you want to make sure that whatever you do is positive. Don't put yourself in situations that, or people are going to question and look at it and you in a different way. So, yeah, I mean, those are the two greatest pieces of advice that I've ever gotten from anybody. And it's really helped me throughout my career. It's helped me in life. It's helped me with, my friends and work and family. So I still stick with it today.
Yeah, that's awesome. My grandfather gave me something similar in advice about your name. And that's, at the end of the day, that's you have your word and your name. So
your
that's
word and your
maybe
name.
It's a generational thing.
Let me tell you, son.
My grandfather was speaking Spanish when he said it, so I don't
So
know.
do you, mira.
Mira,
Tu
mija.
nombre,
That's another podcast for another day. Well, tell folks how they can connect with you if they want to get a hold of you.
Well, they can connect with me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/ Izzy Garza.
Does it say Izzy or does it say Israel? Just check it out either way.
I need to look that up. But, Facebook or email me. I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome.
Izzy.garza@supplyhq.com.
Okay.
Looking forward to hearing from feedback from here.
Well,
I hope I don't embarrass you.
Izzy, you could never embarrass me. But I do appreciate you sharing with us. And
it's fun.
Well, thank you again, Izzy. And
thank
you all for tuning in. And if Izzy's thoughts, advice sparked something with you, please leave it in the comments. If you know someone that needs to hear Izzy's story, please share this episode with them. And until our next Room to Grow podcast episode, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.